He overcame a lot to get there.
I appreciate you recognizing that. I think people hold on to those narratives and they'd like to just stew in them. No audio, but
No.
darn, what a visual. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, who knows, right? It's there's something about being told this stuff that puts it in your mind, it puts it in your intention.
Calm and peace, calm. Like she was just, it was very.
Yes.
Oh man, well, so what'd you think?
Oh, I mean, it surprised the heck out of me first.
Yeah, so Brandon, what's up,
Hey.
man? It's been about 3 weeks, I think,
Yep.
since we talked, or since we've done a pod at least. What's up? What's new? What you been up to?
Well, we took a week off because things were pretty heavy last Thursday for a couple of reasons that we'll get to in this conversation. But one of the things have to do with what I've been up to, and that's finishing a short documentary that I had premiere. What day is it? Thursday. So 2 nights ago, I had it premiere on this YouTube channel. So maybe some of the people watching this have already seen it. It was about my documentary, or it was my documentary about people who still fly Trump flags. And I don't know, some would consider that a peculiar phenomenon. Some would say, that's right, they should. Right? It's funny because it's so prevalent. So it's not like a documentary about, say, I don't know, people who put those ships inside those jars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not like a real niche thing, like people who are really good at Pac-Man or something like that. It's there's a lot of people that do this still. If you drive to rural areas, maybe in Oklahoma, but Minnesota.
Yeah,
and so I saw people flying these flags after the election, and I thought, so I talked to them, and that's my short documentary about them.
Yeah, there's being kind of a liberal Democrat, I'll go ahead and say, surprise, surprise. I've helped Brandon with a lot of different projects, editing wise, but whenever he's had Trump related stuff, it's just something that I can't. When you're editing, you spend hours and hours staring at video and listening to the audio and everything. And I just couldn't immerse myself enough in that world to focus. So he's done these, without me. I watched it, right, I don't know, a couple hours ago, and I have some interesting thoughts. I think we're going to get to that later on. So anything else been going on with you?
The thing is when I have a deadline for something like that, I'm a procrastinator, and it's funny, like you'll know, like, say in a month or 4 weeks or like 3 weeks or 2 weeks that you have something happening, right? And I'm just not naturally good at, and I don't know if anyone really is. It's like people say I'm not good with names. Well, very few people are. Most people have to practice at it to get good at it. And maybe this is the same way. Maybe I just haven't practiced enough. But I just don't feel the heat until I can really feel the date, like days away. If it's a month away, that's just like, it might as well be a year. I don't know.
They say, and I found that I'm wired that way. I need deadlines. I mean, there's a quote that I love. Pressure bursts pipes or makes diamonds. And I mean, it can go sideways, it can go wrong, but a lot of times when you have the deadlines, that's when you make the most beautiful stuff. Because if you're just kind of, if you start a month out, you almost get a chance to overthink things. And I think the most creative things kind of come in the moment. And if you have too much time, you just kind of, so yeah. I've been kind of in a similar way. I've had this big project that I've kind of had out. Just out there to be done, and I was kind of waiting on someone else to give me materials, and I finally got them. And this week, kind of like you, I mean, I was up till 4 o'clock the other night, and then I got up at 6 or 7, and then I stayed. I mean, it's been crazy. And the videos have been coming out pretty great. I've got a couple more.
Why don't you explain what it is real quick?
Yeah. So last year, a lot of people, a lot of groups who would gather, couldn't because of COVID related reasons, and let's see, I think it was around this time last year. There's an organization here in Oklahoma called the Oklahoma Arts Institute. And they normally have this camp where a lot of high school kids go out there, and focus on different types of artistic things, acting, music, theater, just different, acting and theater, same thing. Anyway, they couldn't do that. So what they did is they decided as a whole, they would get their members to sing a song, record themselves singing, and then make a video of it. So I was the editor on that project, and it was a lot of fun, and the video turned out really well. And word kind of spread that that's kind of something I do. So this big group, the Oklahoma Music Education Association, they reached out to me, and they had 14 different videos they wanted made. Some were children's choirs, some were mixed choirs, some were orchestras, symphonic bands, jazz bands, and these are students all over the state of Oklahoma. Anyway, so some of the groups had up to 200 people in them. And I mean, as in someone who edits, think about how to edit 200 people into one video.
So you had 200 videos that you had to put into one video?
Each video contained a range of 20 people to 200 people. So there were probably 4 videos at 200 people, and it was almost a level of what is it? Figuring out the physics of how to do it before, how to construct it, as much as it was to just edit the actual images. And
yeah, you got to like conceive of how to put it together. Did you have, so if there was a 20-person group, did you have them all on one video, or was it 20 individual videos?
20 individual videos.
And you had one group that was 200 individual videos?
Multiple groups that were 200.
How would you even, okay, yeah, I mean, now.
We won't get it, yeah. So we're about to get really nerdy into editing, but
without getting too technical, you received 200 different videos for one particular project.
Yep.
And then you had to put those 200 videos into one where they all play in unison or sing in unison.
Yes, in unison.
Wow.
And this, so for instance, in orchestra, the trombone section, I have to have them on. I can't really have them on when they're not playing. So I have to figure out, it's been crazy. I mean, I'm looking at myself in this, I have these big bags under my eyes, and I think, man, I earn those bags. But I have an audio guy, or I don't have, there's an audio guy I'm working with who is doing that side of it. So we've been kind of working back and forth, just staying up late. But maybe next time we're on, I can, they're going to do some sort of release party. After that's done, I'll play one of them, because I mean, it's kind of crazy. And the talent of these kids, that's I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy how good some of these sound, how intricate the pieces are. So that's
yeah, you know, when you explore different worlds, you are very impressed. This is just a general observation I've made. Like, you could go to a chess camp and realize every 8-year-old there would kick my butt, right?
Yeah.
You could go to whatever, a geography bee, a spelling bee, any of these art camps, and you would see kids doing stuff that would just blow your mind. And then this is just one city in one state, right? So in one country, it's amazing how specialized people have gotten. And you know, that goes for you too. Like, people don't know how much there is. Say if they sat down and watched you edit this, then they would say like, whoa, this guy's, you know, this is incredible. Yeah. But like, it's the topic of, do you get good at a lot of things, or great at a couple or one thing, you know? And in some ways it's best to specialize, because that's how you're going to make it to the top of whatever it is that you really want to get great at. But, you know, if you're going to be a business owner, then you got to be good at a lot of things. You know, you got to know numbers, you got to know finance, you got to know management if you have employees, customer service, you know, all that stuff. So it really depends where you go. And I've heard it both ways, and there's probably truth to both. And I suppose we just got to keep balancing what we juggle. I think the key is to choose a number of things or one thing, and not get too, I have a problem with getting too spread out, whether it's projects or whether it's, I mean, I have a language app on my phone where I'm going to learn Russian, and it's like, I bought it last year during lockdown. I bought a lifetime membership of this language app.
Duolingo, is that what it is?
It's not Duolingo. I've had that one though. It's Babbel. And they have, you know, like a few languages you can have on there, and I don't know why I'm intrigued by Russia, because it's got this troubled and almost, I don't know, dingy past or something, and dramatic. And all their literature is so heavy and dark. And
I knew a guy who worked for the State Department, and he spent time over in Russia, learned Russian. I mean, now last I knew he was in Central America, but before that he was in Russia, and he learned the language. I remember just talking to him about it, and it was, you know how when you bring up, let's say you bring up to me lemon meringue pie, I love lemon meringue pie. My attitude is going to perk up. I'm going to, get happy, not startled. I don't know why I do that face, but happy. I'll smile. Talking to
now
this
we
guy,
know. Now we know how to get a reaction out of it.
yeah, it's easy. Just lemon meringue pie or really any sort of sweets. But talking to this guy, Gideon, when I brought up Russia, just I said, hey man, kind of expound on it. It was the opposite of lemon meringue pie. It was just kind of just like, well, and it was just heavy. It felt heavy. It's heavy. So
yeah, a buddy of mine, I was talking to him about my interest in like doing the Trans-Siberian Railroad, where you go from basically Moscow to Mongolia. You go all the way across Siberia, all the way across Russia. I mean, it's an adventure. I still would love to do that. In fact, that was one of my like bucket list items when I was on a dating app like 5 years ago. And that's what actually had me meet a lady that I would see for several months. She wrote to me like, hey, tell me about the Siberian trip. Like, oh, this is kind of a keeper. So I was talking to this friend about my interest in my intrigue, curiosity about Russia, and he says, Brandon, this is a magician friend of mine. He goes, not that has anything to do with this, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
He says, I think the way it was he had a friend who did a ton of travel, and his friend said the worst place he was at, and he was at dozens or scores of countries. The worst was Russia.
Then why do you want to go?
It's the intrigue. Like I want to be in that seedy subway. I want to be like, do you remember how New York used to be in the 80s? Like Night Court. Remember the theme song for Night Court?
I remember like, Night Court.
Ooh, it's like it just looked people smoking, and it just looked kind of raw. And there was sort of I don't know, it's silly of me, it's probably childish, because I would get there and not like it, and I should be enjoying life, not checking out these
some people enjoy
dark oddities,
different things,
plus they're European, but they're not, I don't know, they're kind of a wild card in the human race. They're very unique. The Orthodox religion, I think, actually is very beautiful. And I love their art, like their literature and their music. Tchaikovsky, it really reaches into me and just squeezes my heart.
I feel it's I feel I get it, but I wouldn't want to. I mean, not that I need to go. We've talked about the ocean and the beach and how that's not but I also don't want to spend my time in the seedy underbelly of that. But before we get too far off this, I wanted to say that about being good at something, being good at one. Basically, I think I used to talk about this with some buddies, and the way we kind of summed it up, or maybe we took it from someone, but it was like you can be good at several things, but you can only be great at one thing. And you got to choose your path, because if you want to be great at one thing, your life has to revolve around one thing. It's like, look at young athletes or stuff like that. They're really good because they don't eat bad food. They don't go out. They don't this. And every now and then somebody will be so amazing they can do a little bit of both. But usually you can be great at one thing.
I used to wish I had that one thing. I used to wish I was, from a young age, had that one thing, because I thought it would then help me figure out my life. Like I envied Tiger Woods, not just because he was rich and famous, but because he knew from a young age that he was going to be a golfer.
His dad knew.
Yeah.
Earl knew.
So, but that was sort of me like wishing for definition to my life by almost it being given to me by the outside, rather than
you trying to choose.
Me searching within for it. Yeah, it's like wishing, in a way, it's like, oh, I wish I had an arranged marriage. It'd make dating a lot easier.
It really would.
And you know what? There's truth to that, but
it would make it better. But it would also, but I think at some point, sorry, I'm gonna do something real quick. I had something figured out, and I just realized I didn't. Sorry to interrupt on the
no problem. It's a great topic, the idea of spreading yourself out. Or I had the idea, I had the opposite thought then too when I was in high school. I said, I'm going to be an actor because I have so many different interests, you know, from science to languages to art, and I was in band and all kinds of things. So I thought, I'll be an actor.
Yeah.
Then I can play all these different roles and be a doctor in one show or one play, or be an athlete, or be a criminal, or be whatever, right? And but you know, that didn't work out either.
I remember hearing a story about the movie.
Now I'm covering different topics, so in a way I can kind of get that.
Yeah, you're still kind of getting it. Okay, so I had a little bit of a surprise here that I'm gonna hit you with out of nowhere.
Okay.
We're gonna have a third member join on here. Okay.
Okay.
Get ready.
All right.
Trust me.
Oh, Owens.
Jessoh, are you there? Oh, let me take a second.
Do I know this woman?
You don't. Hey, we can't hear you. Can you hear us? Oh.
No audio, but
No
darn,
audio.
what a visual.
Yeah, so once he's figuring out the audio. So I figured we're gonna have a heavy-ish show. So maybe still can't hear you. We do something.
Hey, this is Zoom calling. Like this is part of like 2020 and 2021, right? It's either having a cattail walk through, like a snake charmer. Okay, she's.
Let me make sure I'm not muting you for some reason.
She's connecting the audio, so it's she's trying. Can you hear us, Jessica? No. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Boom.
Yes.
Yep.
I did it.
That always happens.
Right.
That always happens. It always works out.
Sorry.
I don't know when
I've only done a Zoom once, so.
Well, here we go.
Once. That's almost that's intriguing right there. I thought everyone had done dozens of these by now.
No, I just hid out in quarantine. I didn't talk to anyone.
I thought you were gonna say the opposite. You're like, I didn't quarantine at all. I just went out there and met people face to face. I don't have to Zoom.
Nope.
You really isolated.
Yes, me and my cat.
See, there's the cat. Did you have like the cat tail walk through the shot?
No, he was my boy. He is my boy. What's up, guys?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad I figured this out. I was like kind of embarrassed for a minute because I couldn't get the audio. I couldn't get the audio to work.
You're all good. I think that's just kind of your rite of passage on the whole Zoom thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad it's over now.
Yes. Well, so now, Brandon, do you have any idea why I possibly could have? And it's Jessoh. That's
Jessoh.
Jessoh. Yeah.
Jessoh.
Why I have her? Jessoh. Okay.
Jessoh.
Nice to meet you.
Oh,
yeah.
That's like that's how you go by, Jessoh?
Yes, or you can call me Jess.
Okay.
Either one.
Well, remember I said earlier, Paul, people usually aren't very good with names unless you try. But okay, Jessoh. Well, it's great to meet you. I'm Brandon. Paul probably has told you a little about me, I'm guessing, when he mentioned this. I, however, know nothing about you other than the fact that your appearance here, and you have some Halloween bat decorations behind you, which makes for a really good set, by the way.
All year round.
And that you're not good with Zoom audio, but you're a quick learner.
Yes.
So that's what I got.
Well, I'm glad we're on the right foot.
No, so knowing Paul, I would think, okay, how did he meet this woman? You know, maybe on a dating app, maybe it was just one of those things. I don't know. I know about your work out in the country. I don't know if you may have met her.
No.
Huh? Yeah. You work out in the country, or I don't know. Did you meet her at an ice cream shop the way I met that one dude in
the donut shop? No.
Yeah.
No. So I figured, since this podcast, we're talking about some heavy-ish stuff, I thought we'd take a little break and do something a little different. And so earlier I asked you what time you were born.
Oh yeah. Like 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Okay, so this has to, so Jessoh, so the way we met is just on IG. I don't know how we became friends, just probably mutual friends. And she would go live.
Instagram.
And do tarot readings.
Right?
Instagram.
Yeah. You gotta say that.
Yeah, so she would, would pull cards for me and then do readings based on my birthday, birth
Oh,
timeline.
wow.
And I thought it'd be kind of fun to do that with you. So that's why
Sure,
she's
sure. I
here.
won't tell my mom or grandma. They won't like it, but uh,
That's okay.
yeah,
We can keep it between us.
I'm sure you run into that here and there. So
I'm
what state or what city are you in?
I'm in Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Have you two met in person then?
We've never met in person, no.
So you just coincidentally were from the same area and met on Instagram? Did you have mutual friends
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how it happened. That's how Instagram recommended you to each other. There was mutual. Okay, it wasn't just totally random then.
No, it's just something like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, gosh. Did you grow up down there? I don't hear much of an accent, but maybe Oklahoma doesn't have too many. I don't know.
I'm from a small town called Noble, which is about 6 miles south of Norman.
Oh, okay.
I was raised there, and I lived in Norman for about 10 years and like throughout my 20s. And then I moved here to OKC in 2017, and I've lived here ever since. And I love it here.
I have so many questions.
But
maybe I'll let you do the asking since you're the tarot reader.
Well, I started reading tarot about 2 years ago after a long-term relationship breakup, and I was just trying to curve bar hopping and stay at home. And my roommate had a deck, and I just started playing around with it. I've been into astrology since like high school, and it's kind of a lifelong, to me, it's a lifelong learning because there's so much to learn. And so I'm still learning with tarot. So I really enjoy interacting with people. I'm a pretty social girl. So this is a great opportunity for me to like learn more. And, I do collective readings for people, or I do personal readings for people. So yeah, it's just further learning for me. And that's why I started doing the Instagram lives. Besides like, loneliness, I have people come in and interact with me who I like Paul, who I didn't know at all. And he just started, interacting with me and asking for readings. And so I've learned quite a bit about him just through the tarot and doing his natal chart. So it's pretty interesting.
Natal chart. Like natal as in neonatal unit, baby, infant?
As in what it's basically a graph, it's a graph of what the constellations were at the moment of your birth. So I can look into that and see, different things that could happen throughout your life and your personality traits, and it digs pretty deep sometimes.
Yeah, this is a vision. Like, let's say someone is, let's say someone does social commentary and they just kind of see how the direction the country is going, or they watch like world affairs, and they just kind of have a sense for the moving pieces on the chessboard, or maybe they're a therapist and they can just kind of see, oh yeah, I can see the way that person's childhood has now affected him or her. And so do you have kind of that sense, you would say, that you can see how the astrological variables have influenced the person into
absolutely
adulthood?
And I can give you a great example. OJ Simpson's chart really freaked me out the first time I looked it up, and it was very telling. And I mean, I look at anyone's birth chart, celebrities, public figures of any kind, and he's a great example of someone that I looked up, and I really dug deep into his chart, and I was like, wow, there's some very, very telling and strong placements there. So
there's a lot of confirmation. Go ahead.
I want to know how a chart can both, like, because OJ's he lived two lives basically. He was all pro NFL running back. Then he was an actor, and then he was a murderer. Like, how does it chart? How does
like I said, with natal charts, it's like a bunch of graphs kind of laid on top of each other. You look at squares and conjunctions and trines, and then you look at the planet placements, you look at the sign placements, and all together, it's kind of like a big puzzle. And based on the placement settings, you can really see some intense and telling signs of how a person has lived their life, and even going back to their childhood and, traumas that they've experienced. And it can bring up a lot of things. And like I said, it can be very telling. And just I remember looking at his natal chart and just being like, wow, he's actually a friend, or he used to be a friend, because my uncles played football for OU and the Saints and the Lions. So he was like friends with my uncles back in the day. So I was like, we were like talking about him one night, and I was like, oh, I wonder what his chart is, or like what his sign is. And so that's kind of how I like got into that. And then it really freaked me out because it was just like, oh.
I assume you had looked up OJ's chart because maybe it was like a textbook case that was shared by other teachers. Like if you want to, how in like law school or something, they'll give like these for instances of court cases that are famous. Like in this case, the lawyer argued this and this. Exactly. I thought maybe OJ's was a textbook one that they used to teach people about how to do what you do, but that's not what happened. Like you just discovered it on your own.
I did discover it on my own, but that's a really great example to use because, other astrologers that I've followed on social media, I'll use another example, Donald Trump. Picking apart his chart and kind of seeing like if there's ways to figure out how he ticks, and these like really strong personality public figures. And so for me, I just kind of cherry picked, and for OJ Simpson specifically, he had come up in a conversation, and then that kind of tricked a part of my astro nerd mind where I was like, oh, I wonder what his sign is. And so I found his birth information and I looked it up, and it was just like, wow, I feel like it was very intense.
It seems like you stumbled upon something there that you could then use to teach people.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm currently doing a natal chart for a friend's mother whom I've never met. And, that's kind of difficult. And obviously I've never met OJ Simpson, but I know things about him. But it's just different with every person. It's like a fingerprint. Everybody's natal chart is different. Everybody has a natal chart, no matter who you are or how you grow up or who you become. And, certain people are just really interesting, just like you brought up the court cases. It's interesting to dive into those kinds of facts and, tribulations and moments in time. So I guess that's a great example to use. As far as
can we get something out of the way first off, because there's so much of a reaction to this whole topic. How do you respond to people who dismiss it immediately?
I just let it go and I don't hassle people about it. If they're not into it, then I don't try to get them into it. But I will say
go ahead.
That when I started doing tarot at my last job, there were people who were very like naysaying, and then they eventually would come to me and say, hey, can you read my cards? So I think some people immediately are quick to be like, no. And then maybe later they'll think, oh, well, it can't be that bad. It's kind of like getting your palm read or something, or you go to the fair. It's harmless. But, some people who don't want anything to do with it, I just leave them alone about it. I don't try to get them to do something they don't want to do.
Has anyone ever like shown you, because people do this with chiropractors too. They say there's no science to back it up. It's nonsense. Stop what you're doing. Like they're almost like aggressive about getting you to try to stop. And they try to use like science to say, this is just mathematically not true. You have to stop it, whatever.
Right, pseudoscience.
What's that?
A pseudoscience.
Sure.
Like,
but you just respond to that.
I've had people kind of make fun of me before. People call me a witch, or they just think, oh, you're one of those girls. They'll say stuff like that, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. But I just kind of, I'm just kind of like, okay, like, I mean, I just leave people alone about it. I mean, I wouldn't want someone to try to, twist my arm into something that I don't believe in or I don't want to do. So I just kind of let them think whatever they want, and then I move on and I go, you know, I just do my own thing.
It sounds
So
like
Brandon, hold on. You are such a natural interviewer. This is the point where it flips. Like you give information to her, and then she's gonna do a reading for you. So we're gonna pause on the questions so we can do this thing, right? That sound good?
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Thanks for the moderation.
You don't have, I mean, I can do a blind reading, like, so, okay, let me just say, a lot of times if I'm shuffling cards, I will have you think of something specific that you would like to come up in the reading, or something that you would like to resonate specifically. You can say it out loud. You can talk to me about it. You can think of it in your mind and not say anything. So ultimately, you are the tarot reader, because you know you better than anyone, and deep inside, and what you deal with and how you cope with what's going on in your life. So I just interpret how the cards lie and what they mean. So when I do a reading, just try to have an open mind and interpret it into your life how you will. As they say in this tarot world, take what resonates and leave what doesn't.
Okay.
Okay, so real quick, so what we're talking about, two different things. There's the natal reading, right? Is that,
Yes,
and then what you do now? Oh, sorry, what is it?
That is astrology. So tarot cards, astrology is tied to tarot, but forgive me, I thought we were talking about tarot in that sense, but the cards are separate from the natal chart.
Okay, so and so maybe today, because we've talked a little while and stuff, but maybe we just do the cards today, and then maybe at a later date, maybe we can get Brandon's information to you about his birthday and time, and maybe we can have something prepared if we want to, and then come back and do that.
That would be great.
Okay.
Because the natal charts are so much more in depth.
Yes.
And they take time to look at. But I can do it off the cuff. I did it for you.
You did. No, we'll do that a different time, because but now we can let's just do some cards, or do some.
Okay.
I'm I can't even talk now. I'm mixing up all the terminology, and I'm just gonna shut up now and let you all do the thing.
That's okay. No. It's all good. It can be a bit confusing because I don't know. They're in the same realm, but they are two different things. So what I do is I call it chaotic shuffling, as you've seen me do, Paul, where I just like pull the cards and whatever falls out, I read them how they lie. There are other ways there are different spreads to do, but I like to do it this way, especially with blind readings. And so when the cards that come out are called jumpers, and they're more like urgent, like what you need to know now, kind of things, if that makes any sense. Okay. So are we doing a collective reading, or am I doing like a reading for everyone involved, or would you like me to just do a reading for Brandon? For Brandon.
Just Brandon. Okay. This is his moment.
This is his moment.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, Brandon, what's your last name?
Ferdig. Ferdig.
Ferdig. And what's your sign? Your sun sign.
Taurus.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna get a nice little charge here. I did cleanse these beforehand, so we should be good.
It's Taurus now, right? We're in the Taurus season.
Wait, we're in Taurus season.
My birthday's coming up.
You're keeping it on the low. You don't want people to find your information, do you? Read your thing like OJ.
No, I turned 40 May 15, bro.
May 15.
Yeah.
So you are a May Taurus.
May.
My best friend's
I didn't know that made a difference.
Yeah, well, there's April and May.
Well, there are. I just thought Taurus was Taurus, but okay.
Taurus is Taurus. I dig it. Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna finish the deck.
Chaotic shuffling.
Shuffling.
There's order in chaos.
There definitely is. I've had a couple come out already.
So should I think of something or just not worry about it?
Were you not thinking of anything while I was shuffling?
Not while you were shuffling, no. But I had a couple things in mind earlier when you mentioned it.
Okay, that can resonate.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. So, and with tarot cards, you know, they can be upright and they can be reversed, and they have different meanings based on if they're upright and reversed. So the first card I have here that fell out is the 5 of Cups reversed. And I'm just going to shout out some keywords here. Okay. So this is forgiveness, emotional maturity, and recovery. And it can be, and let me also just say before I get into it more, this can mean you personally or someone close to you, someone in your life or a relationship in your life. It can be based on love, friendship, parents, siblings, you know, lovers, anything like that.
Can you read those again? I'm going to write these down. Can you read the
what I just said?
Keyword, just the keywords.
Keywords. Okay, so this is forgiveness, emotional maturity, and recovery. This is the 5 of Cups reversed. And so it can indicate facing some sort of disappointment, recovery from regret and acceptance, letting yourself be vulnerable, knowing what you want and doing your best to figure that out, especially in an emotional sense or in a relationship. Let's see here. Change, although uncomfortable, is sometimes needed to evaluate your life. Okay, so that's the first card. And with the second card here, we have a major arcana, which is the major arcana are like the big cards, like the highest cards. They have the highest energies, and they're pretty intense sometimes. And so here we have the Empress. This is a feminine card, and of course there's masculine and feminine and everything. It doesn't necessarily have to mean a woman. So this is fertility, Mother Earth, and you are an earth sign, and goddess, yes, and we're in Taurus season. So this is like creativity and love. It's connecting with your feminine energy or a feminine energy in your life. And it implores you to explore your surroundings, express your creativity, and plant the seeds for a fulfilling crop of life. Giving respect to Mother Earth, and take after her loving vibes and support. And
sign me up.
And nourish yourself, to nourish yourself as well, in that sense.
That's sweet. That's like a prayer I just say to myself every morning. Like, just read those things, and that's like setting your intentions for the day.
Exactly. And I usually pull a card for myself every day, and I'll kind of, you know, that's just something to dwell on during the day with whatever, you know, I'm dealing with or whatever will come up. And it helps me.
Yeah, it's motivating.
So for the third card here, we actually have a 3 of Wands for your third card. And this is persistence, anticipation, and progression. Okay. And we have a Seneca quote, who's a Roman philosopher. I don't even know if I said that right, but luck is what happens when preparation means opportunity. Okay, so that quote is tied to this card. And as a result of your persistence, you have made steady progress in your endeavors, and you are on your way to your grand vision. So you have quite a bit of prosperity going on so far, and abundance. Following your curiosity has led you on a path to gather unique skills and absorb useful information that can help you expand both outward and inward. This is a time when travel is encouraged, if you are able, of course. And to dive into what lights your soul on fire. And this is the Manic Mondays deck. I just want to put that out there that I'm reading from. Just a little shout out.
There's different decks, or they're all
oh my gosh, there's so many different decks. It's insane. They have Golden Girls decks, they have Friends decks, they have Cats, Lisa Frank.
But they all have they all have the same cards, right? Like a deck of playing cards.
The traditional cards, yes. There are other oracle cards. Some of them are like spirit animal cards, or, you know, it really is a very vast array of different kinds of cards. So let me see, where am I? So then the next card here, we have the 7 of Pentacles, and these are, this is upright. So this is investments, sustainability, patience, Hard work pays off.
Mm.
Okay, that's kind of what I would tie to this card. Seeds have been planted and now you are starting to see the fruits of your labor. This isn't just about money. This is about passion. Okay, you're putting blood, sweat, and tears into something that you feel very strongly about, building a foundation of your personal freedom. And patience is key. Okay, and and I have to highlight this part at the end, no get rich quick schemes here. You are in it for the long haul. You made that face. Well,
what about my Bitcoin?
Your Bitcoin, I don't know anything about your Bitcoin, but what's funny that you mentioned Bitcoin, the next card is a pretty intense card. That made me laugh. So the next card.
Jessoh laughs at intensity.
I do. Chaos is a friend of mine. So this is the Tower card, and the Tower card represents abrupt change.
Say that again. What'd you say?
Abrupt change or destruction of some kind. Okay, and it can be subconscious. It can be like beliefs that have been established by your parents, or it can be literal, like a fire. Regardless, the turn of events has split you wide open. It's like a rude awakening. Okay.
So it could be a good thing, right? Like maybe you're destroying something bad.
Yes, because it's like, think of like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's kind of like that sort of.
Yeah.
So with grace and ease or raw emotion, the choice is yours on how you deal with the sudden change. With destruction comes creation, so not all is lost. Okay. I just have to say, for like on a personal note, I had this card pulled for me right before a breakup. So, and it ended up being like really great that happened in the end. So I'm just going to insert that as an example. Okay. And then the last card here, we have we have the Three of Swords. And this is actually kind of in cahoots with the Tower. So this can mean rejection or pain of some kind, or heartbreak. Look at how it like is piercing the heart, the swords, and the swords can be pretty intense as well.
Striking image.
Sacrifices and broken relationships weigh heavy on your heart. Could be taking up your mental space. You could have doubt, loneliness, or betrayal. Trust that you are strong enough to survive. The most painful lessons define our strength of character. Use this power of emotion to fuel yourself. Okay. Let's see. You'll feel better once you allow yourself to lean into your discomfort and fully feel pain. Okay, so now I'm going to look on the bottom, and the card on the bottom is strength. So everything that's gone on here, there's a lot of abundance and prosperity, but always keep your wits about you, because anything can happen that could knock you down, right? Heartache, pain, destruction. But since the bottom card, this is the last card I'm reading for you, is strength, and that's pretty telling, right? Just keep that strength within yourself, because you have it in there. Fierce, endurance, courage. It's not only the card of physical strength, but it points to your inner strength. Okay. Power of self-control and approaching a problem powerfully and gracefully and carefully. And connecting to your inner, outer, and strength is key for embodying your own inner strength and ferocious energy with finesse and prowess. Know that you have all the tools necessary, not only to persevere, but to strive. Okay, so with all of these cards laid out here, like I said, you have the abundance and prosperity, and you're an earth sign. I assume that you're a very hard worker. So like I said, there could be, you know, some destruction, or there could have already been some destruction of some kind to happen to you, whether it's in your career or your personal life. But like I said, always remember to pull from your inner strength in the end.
Yes.
That's a great way to end on it, especially after these two, because it's like, oh man, and then it's like, no, I'm good. Like this is Leo energy right here, very strong. So yeah, I hope that resonates with you in some way. And like I said, if it doesn't, then you can just leave it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, you could ponder one card for a long time, and then you start putting multiple ones that adds more things, and then you start to see them how they potentially interact. So I saw a lot of complements between them and a lot of contradictions as well. Like one saying, like seeds have been planted, like in like the feminine card, but then in the investment card or whatever, it was like you have to plant seeds. So
yeah,
it's just kind of fun how, yeah, like one is your just like harvesting the things you've done in life, the investments you've made, relationships, whatever. And then another one is like you're planting seeds for the future. So that one caught my attention. I remember that one. I liked how though you bring up a lot of chaos and struggle, but then fortunately at the end, it's like you're not going to be given something that you don't have the strength to endure.
Exactly. And that's, you know,
it's in the Bible too,
that's promising. It's very promising. And,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, there's always, I just recently learned to read the bottom of the deck at the end. And I'm really glad that I did, especially now. Because I'm like, oh, wow, what a great surprise. It's strength. And that's a really great card. And this is also a major arcana. So this is also one of the most powerful cards that you can pull, along with the Empress, which was, and the Tower. So you have 3 major arcanas here in this spread for you. So it's a lot of powerful energy.
It's empowering. I mean,
yeah.
You know, who knows, right? It's there's something about being told this stuff that puts it in your mind, it puts it in your intention. I understand the draw. I understand the, it's almost like when I meditate most mornings, and I have a little morning meditation book, and I read it, and it just puts in your mind ideas that are, you know them, but it just puts them in there again, like forgiveness or love or observation or whatever. Otherwise we hit the ground running and we're off in the day, and you know, we don't. Yeah. So this is one of those reflective moments too. And I didn't do my meditation this morning, so boom.
You didn't?
Nope.
Wow.
Paul knew that.
I knew.
He knew that.
Right? That's so weird. Yeah. I was really glad that he asked me, because like I said, I really enjoy doing readings for those people. I mean, obviously we've never met. I've never even met Paul in person. Everything I know about Paul is from readings that I've done for him, but it really does bring connection.
And all of it on Instagram?
Yes, I do Instagram Live, and people tune in, and some people will interact and some people won't. But there have been nights where Paul and I have, like, you know, sat there for a while, and we've talked, and I've done his natal chart for him and dove into some stuff for him, and it seemed to resonate. And really I really enjoy when people are open, you know, to the idea, because if anything, even if they're not, it's just, you know, it can be really fun, you know, to pull cards, but it really does kind of, for a lot of people, it digs deep in a sense, into what people are going through.
It's a portal.
In their life.
It's a portal. I mean, I had all kinds of things come to mind, from this podcast and this YouTube channel to Bitcoin to a relationship to a brother to my own personal journey, right? I mean, it gets you reflecting on your life and all the aspects of it. It's actually really good, like an inventory, where you can kind of look at your life. And so I mean, thank you.
Well, yeah. So we'll once this is posted, we'll, you know, put all your info and stuff. Is there anything you want to say? Because I mean, this is going to go up on his the Periphery, you know, YouTube channel.
I'll say that tarot and astrology for me have really like helped pull me out of, some pits in my life, personally speaking. And with the tarot specifically, it's really brought me closer to people in my life, even my own mother, you know what I mean? Because before she was very like, oh yeah, whatever, you're playing with your cards. And now she kind of comes to me and says, well, what is my, card?
Oh,
What do my
really?
cards say? And this and that. So
Wow.
yeah, it's really brought me closer to people in my life, people who have been in my life for years, like my best friend and my mother, like I mentioned, and people that I don't know. And I mean, obviously, even Paul's a great example. I mean, he and I didn't know each other, and we still kind of don't. But we've found a connection through this portal of.
You know him very well at the
In a
same
way,
time.
I do. I'm like, yeah, he's a Capricorn. Like, I just like know. And so it's just, for me, it's just really brought me closer to a lot of people just in general. And I really enjoy it. And it's even brought me closer to myself. And like you mentioned that you meditate, I'm the same way. I have to connect with myself before my feet hit the ground in the morning, and pulling a card for myself really helps me set the day off.
Yeah.
And kind of plants that seed in my mind for what's going to happen, whatever's going to happen, I can handle it. Just like you can.
Awesome. Well, Jessoh, thank you for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun, and
Thanks for having me.
yeah, and hope maybe we can do this again sometime.
I would love to.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll hit you up a little later, but thanks again for stopping by. Okay.
Okay. It was nice to meet you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Surprise.
Let's see here. How do I remove her?
Well, now I can't wait for the next time. And no, I have to bring someone on, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're trading off.
I'll bring like I'll bring like a Jamal or like I don't know, some guy who studies rocks, and I'll bore the hell out of you.
Oh man, well, so what'd you think?
Oh, I mean, it surprised the heck out of me first. I don't know. It makes sense now why you asked me earlier.
Yeah.
Why what time of the day I was born.
Yeah, we didn't even get into that, but that is a more intense kind of thing. And I think, you have such a curious mind. Like the whole point was to bring her on just to kind of do it. But you could have talked to her for another, who knows how long. I could tell the wheels were spinning.
Yeah. I want to know, like, if this is something, I mean, how popular she is. Does she have 100 people watching her, or 10? Or I want to know, just about that in her life, if it affects her personal relationships. I got all kinds of questions for her. But well,
maybe we can, because it is an interesting topic, and she seems to be an interesting person. So maybe we can have her back on at some point.
She's definitely a someone who gets provocative can have kind of a negative connotation, but I mean, she's got a great look, and she does interesting things, and I'm sure she's got great stories and articulate. So yeah, she's a great guest. Yes. And then she looked right into my eyes and then into my soul. So that's always impactful too.
Now, do you have, before we move on, do you have any thoughts about what the card she pulled? How did those resonate with you?
I think I like the starting of the, I mean, it gets me to reflect on starting this channel, the Periphery Media, starting the Periphery Foundation to go along with it. So, beginning new things, planting the seeds, as she said. Mm-hmm. The feminine energy is something I've actually written a little bit about after some time in China, actually. And just kind of reimagining what it means to be tough or powerful. Mm-hmm. In a different version of that outside of the West and America, where it's, so that's always great. I am doing like some, I think people are usually in the process of inner growth, inner development, self-help, I don't know what you call it. And so those sorts of things were brought up in me. Finances, of course, with some of those cards. The dramatic ones at the end, kind of had me think about leaving behind traits that are not helping me, right? And using destruction as a positive force. So yeah, there was a lot there. I mean, I could divulge the details, but I don't think that's necessarily all that vile. I think it's those universal truths that can really reach out and connect us. And that's why I think tarot is honestly really popular or appealing because it's so universal and everyone can relate. And if nothing else, it gets you reflecting on these things. And I like, that was.
We're good. I do want to get into the Trump country after Trump documentary.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I released Tuesday night. And so you saw it, you identified earlier in this podcast as someone who leans left and votes Democrat. So I'm curious what your reaction to it was.
Well,
as individuals.
I enjoyed watching it. And, even though it's northern Minnesota, it felt just like an hour outside of Oklahoma City. I mean, those are the same people who basically, I mean, I guess that's it. Rural areas in all states, it's all kind of the same.
It's more about rural and urban than it is north and south.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say one thing off the bat. I should have written her name down, but the wife on the first interview, I mean, you came back to him, but what was her name? It
was Robin Becky.
Becky, I would bet all the Bitcoin I own, that she voted for Biden. She voted for Biden. She voted for Biden. Just watching her energy.
I like that observation. I don't agree with it, but I like it because she was the one who, in fact, she would say more that didn't make the video, because she really said, the video includes everything she said. It just doesn't include all of it. But she would echo that stuff a little bit more about how she will take the flag down. She'll move on. And the others were not like that.
Calm and peace. Calm. Like she was just, it was very.
Yes. She was defending and she went out. I like that part where she said to her husband that Trump instigated the January 6th event. And he was like, really? Like that was his line. Really?
Yeah, it was. There were little moments. You know how you can just tell when somebody's giving you all the information you need to add, to add it. She's giving you all the information. You just gotta kind of be aware of it. And she was definitely saying, "I voted for Biden, but I'm with this dude." But so I don't really want to get too deep into my. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it's
that says something right there. That says something right there, Paul, because I don't expect a lot of people who don't empathize with them to watch it. But that's my hope. And so I'm glad you did, and that you could watch it without it angering you or you first just refusing to watch it from the outset. Like there was a woman on Facebook that I shared this documentary on like a group I belong to, of filmmakers. And she watched it. And she's like, that was hard for me to watch. And I says, then I tip my hat for you to doing so, for watching it, because I think that's so important. I listen to people I disagree with all the time, and I get it. Like I get where they're coming from, and I disagree, but I think just getting where they're coming from, or I don't know, even you don't have to like it at all. You can dislike it.
Yeah.
But I just think having some kind of connection to retain that sense of humanity, that this is a human being. I don't like where they're going, but they're doing what they think is right.
Well, right? Yeah, what I think the main for me whenever I'm kind of watching someone I don't necessarily agree with or who has differing opinions of mine, the question I wonder is, do they think they're doing what's right, or are they doing something that's right that they think is right, or are they being kind of mean, just basically mean or hateful? Are their actions dictated by hate, or are their actions dictated by a true belief in that they think it's going to be better for everybody? Yeah. And the people you talk to, I mean, okay, so I had one thing I wrote down, and I just wanted to run this by you, just as a general idea. Is people in the video, the two couples you talked to, they said the word believe, and they said the word I think, believe, And it's when I hear those words, I think, well, just because you believe something doesn't mean it's real. And so often belief and reality just come head to head. And unless there's kind of some consequence, some immediate kind of painful consequence, you can believe whatever you want, even if it's wrong, right? And I think a lot of these people, I mean, and just people in general, would you say that it's fair that people tend to believe things that they think will benefit them?
Well, they believe things that offer them some kind of comfort, and it doesn't have to even be comfort in the classic sense, or the sense you and I are maybe thinking of it right now, the sense that others would assume it means. No, it can mean you want to stay angry, right? You want to feed that chip on your shoulder, right? And it's on both sides, right? So people are going to believe Trump lost the election, and no matter, or they're going to believe the election was rigged, and no matter what you tell them, no matter what you reveal to them, it doesn't matter, right? It's like there's a people get so invested in their beliefs, and again, it happens on the other side too. People are mad at, again, I don't want to wade into really controversial waters here, but let's look at the way Michael Brown died, right, in St. Louis, was it? The hands up, don't shoot thing. I think that was shown it didn't happen, but it didn't matter, right? People are going to just hold on to that idea, and they say it at rallies, hands up, don't shoot. It didn't happen, but it doesn't matter, right? And it didn't matter that it showed, and then it turned out I think he tried to grab the cop, and he was asking for trouble, right?
He reached into the car. Yeah.
So
but
it wasn't like
what happens with that particular story. I think what happens is that it's if one out of 10 instances are incorrect, you still kind of, it's you look at the other 9. The other 9 carry more weight than the one. So I was like, okay, well, this one wasn't what they chalked it up to be, but there's 9 other examples of this going this way.
So I'm not sure that's a great example on the other side, but I'm just like, people are going to believe what they want to believe, and I think, and because there's comfort to that, because you hate to have to change your mind, you hate to have to change your entire outlook on things, right? Yeah. So in this case, they just don't want to believe that. In this case of this documentary, they don't want to believe that Trump lost fair and square.
Yeah.
That there is no. It's funny. You would think there would be relief in knowing that there isn't some grand conspiracy to destroy the country, but they hold on to that belief anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting psychology. But I mean, believing in a grand conspiracy is, I mean, again, it's on both sides. I mean, patriarchy, white supremacy. I mean, you hear from the left too, like it's all systemic, it's all planned. They're trying to keep people down. You hear from both sides. So I don't think it's, and you can argue one's got way more belief. I don't know, but I think people hold on to those narratives, and they'd like to just stew in them. That's the problem. People like to really stew in the negativity.
Yeah. And I wonder, I mean, to me, it really was just thinking belief versus reality. Yeah. And because I don't know, the things people just choose to believe in, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I think it's just interesting to really, because I mean, listening to the second couple, there were just kind of moments where, I mean, I don't know. I just listened to them, and there were things where there were kind of contradictions. Sure. There were just these things that were obvious, like, well, how can you believe this, but then you don't believe this, but then this, but then that. Yeah. And it was just, for me, it was more of a psychological or sociological kind of documentary, totally. Where
I hope people watch it for that too. And because it's worthy for that reason too. I think, like, you don't have to watch them. I mean, people get mad at him because it affects the outcome of the country. I get it. But if you can detach from that for a second, maybe you look at it like a researcher, then it is interesting. Like, why are they? And, people have done that with conspiracy theorists. I mean, you watch the QAnon documentary, and, I think that takes kind of I'm guessing it takes a bit kind of a researcher kind of perspective.
Yeah. And, and something to kind of tie this back to something you said earlier, how you kind of said you wanted someone to kind of tell you what to be, like, job, like you meant, kind of someone to kind of just say, this is the way to go. I think most people just want someone they can believe in and trust in to tell them everything's going to be okay. Just do this.
or everything's not going to be okay. But I think
take away the unknown.
There's some order.
Yeah, the order, because to think that life is just so, to think that just one dude shot JFK and changed the history of the future of humanity, it's kind of crazy. Or Timothy McVeigh, to think Timothy McVeigh and
that is unsettling.
What's Nichols, whatever, McVeigh and Nichols blew up the mirror building and affected an entire city in ways that the echo will never stop. Mm-hmm. So to think that there's some plan that somebody actually, with power and influence did it, is more almost comforting than to think just one dude could do all that.
Yeah, and we see patterns too.
Yeah.
So like you'll piece together, say 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing, whatever. You're gonna and then you'll look for, because we see patterns. We just do. I mean,
survival.
Jessoh sees patterns, right? In the cards she pulls out, and we just do that. And I guess that's probably part of this process too, where in this case of the people in this film, they look at how there was suspicious activity around the FBI and the CIA and them being against Trump. Okay. And then they look at the fact that the vote counts changed dramatically overnight, and they piece it together and they say, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm just saying that's the
votes do get counted, and then the vote total goes up, but they count them at night anyway. Yeah. I think my issue with a lot of things is a lot of people, and myself included, all of us included, to some degree, we could all be better at critical thinking, at logically sorting through data and information, statistics.
True.
And I think a lot of people just don't either take
signal
the time
versus noise,
or know or understand how to process information in a logical, critical way. But
look, this is the psychology of how people get really wrapped up in any kind of movement, or I don't know, almost like a non-human or superhuman or supernatural, whether it's religious or cultish or I don't know, maybe even a fraternity. I don't know. Like we get wrapped up in these movements, and they have a higher narrative and an explanation, a mythology, you might say. Mm-hmm. Like Joseph Campbell, the researcher, he focused on this, and he made it famous. He became famous for bringing to the fore the idea of the importance of mythology in one's culture and the power of the story. So I think he helped consult with Star Wars.
Archetypes. We're talking about
archetypes, good and evil,
redemption,
hero's journey.
Yeah,
exactly, all that stuff. And it's you can just almost, but we're kind of wired to really love that stuff. And so Trump is that character. And I think
here's the thing, though.
People.
I understand cults. I understand worship, hero worship. I understand the archetypes. What I don't understand is how Donald Trump, a silver spoon billionaire born into whatever from New York, became the warrior for the rural America. I hate trying to say that word. I will never understand that. There's a dude who I could see being that, but it's not him, because he has nothing in common. Okay, so one thing I wanted to say, the first guy, Becky's husband, what's his name? Rob dropped out of school in ninth grade at 13, one of those two, 13 years old at 9.
Yep.
And I'm looking at his house. The dude has built a life that seems like he's got a house, he's got a wife, he's got kids.
Yep.
The dude has overcome some major obstacles. I think that's awesome that he's able to do that. Now, he was a little bit, like, well, I'm not going to be here much longer, that kind of thing. He's not looking to be here too. But anyway, wherever he is in this moment, it seems like he overcame a lot to get there.
I appreciate you recognizing that.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when anybody can overcome those type of obstacles. Mm-hmm. But for him to carry the flag of this billionaire who's just kind of gotten it's just I don't get it. I never will get it. And it's not even that he's anyway. I can make a list of traits I think that guy would follow, and Donald Trump really deep down would never get, because usually rural people are good at spotting certain cons also. Anyway, whatever.
they believe Donald Trump is genuine, and I kind of do too.
Yeah.
Does he have anything that he can relate to these people with? I don't know, but Paul, he must have something because he went to Bemidji. Trump went to, well, first he went to Bemidji. You have to understand, there's never been I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but never in my lifetime, as far as I know, or the last 50 years, there's been a US president that's traveled north of the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Maybe Duluth. So to have Trump go to Bemidji,
that's just good campaign.
it's a town of 15,000 people in north central Minnesota. Like, nobody goes there. Nobody knows where that is outside of the area. And he went there and he got enormous. Like, I don't think there may have never been a larger crowd of people in that area ever. Who knows?
Look,
I don't know. But
I'll say this, and you can disagree, and whoever's whatever. What I think that people tapped into, what they connected with Donald Trump, the rural man and woman, and Donald Trump, I think it is that they sensed a sincerity and a genuineness in him. But what I think the problem is that they didn't translate what that sincerity and genuineness is. I think they think he's the dude who's there to rescue them. A guy who'll talk shit to anybody, who doesn't listen to, who doesn't follow the traditional norms. I think they love okay, let me rewind and then start. I think they identified with the rebellious nature of that he has. But where I think the mistake, I believe the mistake is that they saw the rebellious nature, which I agree it's there. And they thought that equaled that because he was rebelling and saying he's for them, that his intention was to help them. And I think where the path splits for me and rural people is, I think it was always about him. It was, they were pawns. People were pawns to give him power. He didn't get power to help the people. That's how I see it. Because he seems like he's a grifting con man in my eyes. And he always has been. And anybody you talk to who's out of his sphere, that's what they say. I was listening to Michael Cohen on CNN, and I know that, people write books, they want to, be on TV and sell books. But this dude was with them since 2007 and saw all the things, and he's just speaking his mind. And anyway, anybody who's left his orbit has the same story. Donald Trump is about Donald Trump, and he'll use anybody and abuse anybody. So that's where I think the disconnect was. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that's a very fair conclusion. I tend to lean more toward him being genuine, but him not being very competent, or him not being very good at being a leader because he didn't do a good job of, the basics of being a good manager, right? You're gonna surround yourself with people that are very good. You're gonna empower them. You're going to bring people together during tough times. And he was so he was so divisive and mean, and wasn't able to follow through with a lot of the things he wanted to do. He did some things, but a lot of the things he didn't do. And I don't think, I wish people who really love Trump would wake up to that. Like, he said all the right things, but he didn't do the things. Like, he wasn't the guy you thought he was. And I say that to Rob and Becky, that's not in the movie. But I think he meant well, but he just wasn't the guy you thought he was. And they disagree, and okay. And now I think they're just going to keep flying the flags as a symbol. This was our last chance.
Becky's got a Harris 2024 tattoo, like in a very conspicuous place. That's why she don't want to get close to him.
Oh, yeah, right.
But hey, okay, so this pod, I mean, it's been a lot of fun, but we've been going for a minute, so we probably need to wrap it up.
True. I was going to say, if Becky does have a Harris tattoo, then that's the follow-up video.
There you go.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well. I hope it keeps doing well. It's got over 1,000 views in a day or 2 days, and for our humble channel, that's a good start. And that's like, the wall started with fewer than that. And it just kept picking up steam, and now it's got 630,000 views or something. So, I'm holding out hope that this video can keep going. It's timely. They pour their hearts out, and I gotta give them credit. Like, they said things that they know people are gonna hate them for, and they did it, and they did it twice. And that was
Yeah.
after they realized what they said in the first interviews were wrong. So that they allowed me to come back and do it again. And I was surprised. I thought they were going to hang up on me, but they were very open.
I wanted to talk about that second couple, but I need to watch it again and because there's a whole lot going on with those two.
That's yeah.
And especially with the kids and just the school, it's just, there's a lot to process, and I don't have it. My brain's still crunching the numbers. So
I agree. Rob and Becky are more maybe what you would consider, what you would think of, more run of the mill, unless you think Becky is some covert Democrat.
She is now.
But yeah, Matt and Stacy were different. They were younger. They I don't know. They were really intelligent. You know, seem to have a great family.
The family, but the religious part, the church, we don't need the church part. When that part comes through in the second interview about the church, I thought, okay, that's what I wish they would I wish you would have, I was curious about more. I don't know. I'd love for you to do another video with them. And
maybe we should have included more of that in the first interview with them, because the first interview with them, they talked about the church and what got them. See, she wasn't a big Trump supporter until the COVID.
And okay, maybe we'll continue this on the next video, because I've been thinking about the whole mask, the
That's
people
what
who draw a line at the masks.
That's what started it.
I was running the other day and I had a whole long idea about mask and extrapolated it into something.
Were you wearing a mask while you were running?
No, because and I have been vaccinated. When I'm outside, I do not wear a mask. I wear a mask inside because of social norms. There's a certain thing we just do because society as a whole needs to do it, you know? And it doesn't mean that not everything we do is functional, right? Not everything we do has to be functional. Sometimes it's just what we do. Anyway, next time.
It's all good. It's all good.
And plus, I'm so tired. I keep seeing my reflection. I'm so tired. These videos have worn me down.
It's self-conscious.
Yeah, but whatever.
I'll give Jessoh a call. She'll pick up your spirits.
What's that?
Give Jessoh a call. She'll pick up your spirits, dude.
She'll give me a good reading. Yeah.
Man.
Okay, well, I think that's gonna wrap it up. So we'll just we'll call this one good, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay.
Sounds good, man.
Okay.
Talk to you later, bot. See ya.
Well, hold on.
What?
We don't have to hang up.
Oh, okay. True.
I may leave that in. I may fade out of this right now because
nice. So people know that we're talking afterward.
Yeah, actually, no, I am gonna hit stop on the recording just as